I was playing pickup basketball here. And matter of fact, I think it's one of the last chapters in my book about adversity. And they're warming up, and I'm 6'8", back then I was in pretty good shape. And I watched this one guy warming up, and he only had one hand. And I remember praying, please, God, don't let that guy guard me. And sure enough, we go to have the tip off, and I hear him say, I'll take the big guy. I'm like, no. And he just took the ball from me. He stole it. He scored on me. And we became friends because the guy is such an impact person. And he took his disability and turned it into a plus because of his effort and drive and stuff. And a lot of times when we're sitting in it, it's hard because we just want to sit there and sulk and feel bad for ourselves. And let that happen a little bit. You can't automatically have something happen and take victory in it. You kind of have to soak in it for a little bit. I'm not saying 20 years, but take some time and grieve the loss of your mobility, grieve the loss of your common sense, grieve the loss of a loved one or whatever the case is, but you have to have some grief. And once you get done with that grief, then you turn the corner and say, let's be victorious now. Let's stand tall and deal with the problems.
Craft Your Life is a radio show for the tenacious, the bold, and those who refuse to settle for mediocrity. We bring together visionaries, game changers, and relentless go-getters who are crafting their lives, businesses, and relations in pursuit of excellence. If you are ready to shatter limits, embrace the amazing, and live life on your own terms, this show is for you. Each episode delivers actionable insights, inspiring stories, and unfiltered conversations that will ignite your drive to win a life worth dying for. Tune in and get ready to live viciously. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Craft Your Life radio show. I'm your host, Matt Kuehlhorn. Today, I have a new friend joining us, Kevin Barclay. Kevin is a former prison guard, former stand-up comedian, former sales manager. You might know him if you've been around Grand Junction for a minute as 6'7" Kevin. He's been in the automobile industry. These days, he is founding the Be Great Consultant Group, and he's a professional life coach. Kevin, I'm so excited for this conversation, man. Thanks for joining.
No, the excitement is mine. When I was invited, I just thought, hey, I love that you're taking the initiative to get out there and reach people. So great job, and thanks for having me.
Yeah. No, we're going to have a good conversation for listeners joining us. I think we're going to go into human connection. We might touch a little bit on masculinity. This is going to be a good conversation for those that are truly interested in crafting a life, because networking is an important piece to that. Kevin, where did you grow up?
Actually, San Francisco, and went to school in Santa Barbara. So spent the equal amount of time that I left. I left home when I was 17 years old to go to college in Santa Barbara, and spent 20 years there. Then I moved here in 1997. So kind of grew up in Santa Barbara, and I feel like I grew up some here too. So you're always growing up, right? Until you die.
I agree with that philosophy. Absolutely. Always learning. There's always more. I call it a grateful not done. That's a term I get
have
from
to say this is my home. I love it here. I love the people here. I've really enjoyed the connection that I'm making around town. So I've been here almost 30 years. So I've been here longer than any other place.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I also came out to the Western Slope. I was up in Gunnison. I came out in 97 as well. So we have that in common. Growing up in California, give us a little sense of what childhood was like. And what I'm interested in is, your love for people and your curiosity around connection. I forgot to mention in your bio, you're also an author of Take 10, which is about how can we connect in 10 seconds or less. But did that come from childhood? What was it like around Santa Barbara when you were growing up for you?
Well, Santa Rosa was actually where I grew up, but my dad, basically back then you could beat the crap out of your kids and people didn't give you any guff about it, because it was me and my brother, my two sisters, and we were treated pretty poorly. A lot of physical abuse, a lot of verbal abuse, and my mother just watched. So
Mm.
I didn't really know love. And that kind of tilted me a little bit. But the beauty of it is a lot of people in my age group experienced the same thing because it seemed like it was okay. And so there's two different things that you can be when you have a life like that. You can either be a victim, which I was a victim for a while. Oh, woe was me. I got beat up by my dad. I don't have relationships well, and I'm on my second wife, and blah, 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 blah. But, then there was a turning point that all of a sudden I said, forget that. I'm going to become a victor. Because in adversity, when you see people who go through adversity, they take one place or another. And a lot of times you see people come through adversity and they come out a victor. It's an amazing thing to see. There's stories about that one-armed guy that was a pitcher. Another person swam with one leg. I mean, over and over and over again. Extreme adversity, but you can turn that into a victory. So if you're feeling that way right now, if you feel like you have a lot of problems and stuff like that, take a look in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm going to take victory out of this. Because it does help you understand the best way to approach life. It's using that as being a victor in that.
Yes. So for you, Kevin, was that a overnight instant decision, or was that a journey?
Oh, it took
how
me
does that? How
25
do we go
years.
from that? Okay.
So, there's nothing overnight about it, but that doesn't mean that people can't do it overnight. It really is just making a decision. Like, I'm not going to wear purple socks anymore, and I'm not going to be a victim anymore. So there's a couple of choices that you can make. It can be instantaneous. I took the long route and just, spoiler alert, don't do it that way. Take the quick route. Just say, I choose victory today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've read Jocko's book, Extreme Ownership, but you're kind of alluding to that where we make this decision on every component, even the stuff that is happening, quote unquote, to us. We can actually frame it so it's happening for us. It's kind of where that mentality is going. And I love the victor component.
I was playing pickup basketball here. And matter of fact, I think it's one of the last chapters in my book about adversity, and they're warming up, and I'm 6'8", back then I was in pretty good shape, and I watched this one guy warming up and he only had one hand. And I remember praying, please God, don't let that guy guard me. And sure enough, we go to have the tip off and I hear him say, I'll take the big guy. I'm like, no. And he just took the ball from me. He stole it. He scored on me. And we became friends because the guy is such an impact person. And he took his disability and turned it into a plus because of his effort and drive and stuff. And a lot of times when we're sitting in it, it's hard because we just want to sit there and sulk and feel bad for ourselves. And let that happen a little bit. You can't automatically have something happen and take victory in it. You kind of have to soak in it for a little bit. I'm not saying 20 years, but take some time and grieve the loss of your mobility, grieve the loss of your common sense, grieve the loss of a loved one or whatever the case is, but you have to have some grief. And once you get done with that grief, then you turn the corner and say, let's be victorious now. Let's stand tall and deal with the problems.
Yeah, sorry for the delay. I was making a quick switch. Okay. Technical piece.
I'm used to delay. I talk too much. I could delay in person. That's really something. I had to wait for it. Wait.
Yeah.
It's
dramatic pause.
Yeah, you see somebody hit pause in a restaurant. It's weird. It's just uncomfortable. So it's all right.
Kevin, I'm digging this. Tell us the story, so you grew up in California. How'd you make it out to Grand Junction? How did Grand Junction in the 90s fall on your radar?
So I got divorced and married a woman that was from here. And I tell people all the time, my ex-wife brought me here. But I was working in the car business in California. It's like 100 hours a week. Show up at 7, you go home at 11 at night, and, 6, 7 days a week. And I was running a Honda dealership at the time, and it was just too much. And so we came out to Grand Junction, and we rolled around. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So we just filled up the U-Haul and came out. And her parents lived here. They were here for a long time. She was a good person, and her parents were good people and stuff like that. But her and I didn't mix, obviously, because I got my second divorce, which, by the way, it's a magic trick. If you get married 3 times, you can take $1 and change it to 50 cents, and then take 50 cents and change it into a quarter, and meet your new wife and give her 2 dimes and a nickel. It's not fun to do, but it is kind of a fun magic trick. The point being is, I love it here. And when I showed up, it's like the mountains. I miss the ocean a lot. I end up staring into the toilet a lot because it's water.
Yeah, looking for water.
No, I don't. That's weird. I said that. But yeah, I love this town. I love the people here. I love the businesses here. I love the forward thinking of people here. It's just a good place to live.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And that's where you started working, was it Western Slope?
Yeah, Western
car
Slope
dealership that you worked with?
Yep.
You branded yourself and really had what I would kind of liken to a campaign around 6'7" Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people still recognize it. Like when I do Google searches, and prep for this, that's what comes up. Like people would, potentially reference your commercials, your booming voice. Obviously, you have a strong presence just being 6'8", 6'7", but that 6'7" Kevin is a catchy little brand component.
Yeah, I was in California because I was branding the Honda dealership I was at, but pretty soon you're guilty by association. And the guy that I work for out there, it was a challenging time. People made some poor choices, and it was a great time for me to get out here because I went to work for a man that probably changed more boys into men than you'll ever see. He was an incredible mentor. Mike Ferris, he owned the dealership when I came here, and fortunately we lost him years ago. But he was an amazing man, and he turned me into a better man. But yeah, the 6'7" Kevin thing was a fun. I did a lot of advertising with that. I also did comedy at Chelsea's, which I had a little comedy show, and I wasn't shy about putting myself out there because I enjoy people. A lot of times I would get you're just doing that to, get all the attention. People don't understand marketing. If you're a brand, you have to get out there. You can't be shy. Now, I'm not shy, so it fit. But if you have a product right now and you're thinking about how am I going to change my product around or anything else like that, take ownership of it. Get out there and enjoy it. Don't shy away. Your cooler trucks are a perfect example of that. I called you and said, thank you for doing such a great job of
you did.
presentation and stuff, because people don't do billboards right. They don't do some of these, and that's why I want to be a business consultant. That's why I'm doing it. Because you don't put a whole bunch of writing up on the billboard and they got 3 seconds to read it. They have an accent. Well, I do know where I need to go get healthcare now. It's something that's really important. And that's the other part of it. Why do we have to be shy? If you're shy, it's okay. But some of the best speakers I've met are introverts. And that could be you. So if you're introvert, don't feel like you have to be outgoing or gregarious or anything else like that. Bombastic's a fun word. Look that one up. I've been called that more than once. Just be yourself and be out in front of people. I've watched people turn from an introvert into an amazing speaker. I've seen it happen a couple of times. So don't hold yourself back on that. That's another way that you can create a new you. Enjoy life. Have fun. People around you will accept it.
I love that, Kevin. And I would imagine, and I'm thinking back into my own journey, but potentially some people are like, okay, yeah, that sounds cool. Maybe they are introvert and they just have to get over that little personality trait, but maybe it's a fear of being disliked.
I don't know. I've never looked up the true definition of introvert, but a choice is made that they'd rather talk less than talk more. Part of it is guys like you and I, we're out there and they look at us like, well, I don't want to be like that. That guy's a fool. But at the end of the day, who's happier? It's better to be connected with one another. And I don't know, people that are inherently introverts, that's part of their personality. And they're incredible people too. And if you're an introvert listening to this and trying to shift, don't. Stay true to who you are. But be passionate about something. Because when you're passionate about something and you're an introvert, you turn into Matt and I.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a good point. From your book, Take 10, let's start unpacking that a little bit. Because I can only imagine there's good nuggets in there. And I guess I want to make a little shift in the convo here, but there's two pieces that I want to make sure we unpack for our listeners, Kevin. One of them is this idea on branding, and I would say personal branding. So from your experience, like 6'7" Kevin, that was a good fit. But I would think, and I have this conversation with my team, like all these guys have this opportunity to develop their personal brand. And in fact, there is already a personal brand just inherently. And if we get intention behind it, then we can either spin off of a fun nameplay, or we start thinking about who we want to be and start being that. Do you have any other insights into just personal branding and the power of that, even if it's not like putting it on a billboard, it's just how we move and interact with people?
So you had a service guy show up at my place to work on the garage doors.
Yes.
Incredible young man. And he was not an outspoken person, but he had intention. He stayed true to who he was, and he recognized, hey, I'm an introvert. It's okay. And I'm not really sure. I only got to see him at the service side of things. But I think intention has a lot to do with it, because if it's your intention to connect with someone, stay true to who you are. Because people can see unauthentic people. I mean, people can see people that are acting or not authentic. It shows up like a sore thumb, or actually, if you're missing your head or something. If you're not authentic, people can tell. We don't give people credit for being able to see through some of the haze that's in front of us and seeing who we truly are. We think we can hide back there. But people are a lot more aware than we give them credit for, especially people that are quiet. When I worked in the prison, they told me, don't worry about the guys yelling and screaming. Worry about the quiet people. Those
That
are the
makes
guys.
sense. That makes sense.
People that are talking too much, they'll tell you pretty much what they're all about. But the quiet guy, he's mystery. So I guess with branding, stay true to who you are and know what your strengths are. John Clifton wrote a book saying, Living Your Strengths. It's a great book read. And if you're kind of trying to figure out where you're at, most of the time people have 3 or 4 true strengths that make them separate from it. They're true to themselves, and this is what their strengths are,
Yeah.
And just because it's not speaking in public or anything else, maybe you're just really good with wood. Maybe you're just good with people or kids. Maybe you're great with animals. Who knows? It doesn't matter. Stay true to yourself, and you stay in that place. That branding will come.
Yeah. How does somebody gain that self-awareness?
I'll say that again. I missed that.
How does somebody gain that self-awareness? Because you're saying true to yourself. I mean, there's a little bit of just, we need some experience to know what that means. How do we stay true to ourselves?
Well, I think the big thing is self-examination. They talk about meditation, and you hold your hands like this and hum and stuff like that. I do a breathing exercise, and it's the Toltec breathing exercise that you breathe 7 times in, 7 times out, and then you do that 7 times. It could be anything that draws yourself into yourself. A pause, a moment that you can connect with people, and I think that's something that's a good. I had to turn that off. Excuse me. I think that, but also find a close friend that you can reflect into. The people that you're close to, if you really have a close friendship, and that's who I went to breakfast with today. He's known me for 25 years. And he knows when I'm BSing him and stuff like that. It's always good to have one person you can count on to tell you exactly what's going on. And let them tell you what they see. Self-reflection is a great thing because that's where you find out a lot of answers about yourself. Don't wait till you're my age. Get it done in your 20s and 30s, then you'll really kill it. So, yeah, I think that. Find out from people. There's one other thing. There's a chapter in my book called The Genius Gift. We all have something special about ourselves. And I don't want you to think I'm your parent saying, oh, you're special, go to school. No, there's something unique about us that sets us apart from other people. Find out what that gift is, and I can tell you how to find it. If you do something like painting or speaking or typing or writing or whatever the case is, taking care of kids, if you do that and it's seamless and time just doesn't even count, and 2 hours go by and you're still doing the same thing, it could be doing puzzles, whatever it is, you find that gift and live in that gift for a while, and you'll find yourself a lot. Because that's when you really get to experience who that Kevin or Matt is. When you're doing that thing that just flows. Wayne Dyer said it best. Find out what your passion is, and the universe will pay you for doing it. That's the strength part.
I love that. And such a poignant message. I think that, we have so much noise, distraction, especially if we're on our phones and the social feeds. I mean, society is going to bombard us with the pop and the fizz of like what we quote unquote should be doing. And, I love saying fish don't jump. Like not everybody can go out and be an 8-figure entrepreneur. Not everybody can go out and, do all this stuff that is maybe just populated in our feeds. And at the end of the day, what you're hitting on is some self-reflection, a little bit of pause, some communicating with somebody that knows you well, that could be a good friend, a mentor, a coach, so that you can really gain this awareness to see your own genius and lean into that.
Yeah. Well, and let's not forget the fact that we have a supercomputer the size of 2 football fields in our back pocket, and we wonder why we're distracted. There's 2 things about that. Give it a rest and keep your head up. I see so many people driving and walking with their head down, looking at their phone. I see couples on dates where they're both on their phone.
Yeah.
I see mothers with children and they're on their phone. Their kids are shrinking right before them. Put the phone away for a little bit and look at the person next to you. I don't want to do soapbox on that, but that's hurting us a lot. We can't become self-aware if we're living somebody else's life and they show us a picture of a steak they got the night before.
That's right. That's right. 10 seconds away from a human connection. What are some highlights out of this? I mean, one, I'm here, just put the phone down, be present with somebody else.
Yeah. Well, and another thing is listen. So you're like, if I really hear you, Matt, I'll know when it's time for me to talk. But I also want to hear what you have to say. The gift that we have is the person in front of us. Whether or not you're going to hear what they have to say, they have a little gold nugget in there that they want to give you. It could be a bit of wisdom. It could be a suggestion. It could be a great restaurant to eat at. If you listen, too many times somebody says something, all of a sudden our mind goes, ooh, I want to make sure I say this. Or they're going to text something. And please, God, please, don't answer the phone when you're talking to someone. That just says whoever's calling, I don't even know who they are. They might be spam. Is more important than you. Don't do it. Especially if you're married. It's like, oh, geez. The person that's in front of you has the opportunity. They're the most important person in your life right now. If there's somebody sitting in front of you right now and you're listening to this, Matt's the most important person in my life right now. I can hear my son coughing, but I'm connected to him. Take that moment and stay connected for a while. It doesn't take long. And find out what they have to say. The Take 10 is actually threefold. It's 10 steps, 10 seconds. Oh, it's 10 seconds, 10 breaths, 10. I don't even know my own book. It's 10 seconds, 10 breaths. No, 10 seconds, 10 steps, and 10, whatever. First thing is 10 seconds. It's for an accident on the road or a drive-by. If you count to 10 when somebody flips you off or something like that, you just count to 10, they'll be gone. Wait 10 seconds, just let it be. It doesn't make any difference. 10 steps is conflict resolution. If you're standing in a group of people, somebody gives you a hard time, you point to them and say, hey, come with me. Turn around and take 10 steps. It forces that person to take 10 steps, and they're thinking, where's this guy taking me? All of a sudden, they're disarmed. You can turn around and say, now tell me again what you were trying to say. 10 breaths takes about 43 to 50 seconds to take 10 deep breaths. That's for domestics. If we're having an argument with our wife or husband or loved one or children, take 10 deep breaths. I know everybody says that, go stand in the corner, count to 10, but take 10 deep breaths. Two things happen. You activate your vagus nerve, which is one of the things that helps settle you down. That's a big deal. The other thing that happens is it gains perspective. You start to, wait a minute, this is a person I love. Why am I so jacked up about this? And it really calms everything down. Then you go back and say, I heard you say this. Is that what you meant? Marriage counsel will tell you that's one of the best things you can do. Believe me, I've seen a few of those. That's the 10 seconds thing. Too bad you don't have it in order. I should have looked at the book.
No, it's poignant. What I hear in that is creating space. And so, something happens. We get the drive by, we get the feedback, and our bodies have this conditioned response that can trigger us into making a specific meaning. However, and this is where, I would reference like a Viktor Frankl in A Man's Search for Meaning. Like
I love that.
he talks about in that book, being able to create space between something happening and then your reaction. And you're just saying 10 seconds, whether it's breaths, steps, just counting, like creates that space. So then we can actually have awareness about that reaction, about the meaning that we're making to whatever occurred. Powerful.
Yeah, it really, Viktor Frankl is a quote master. I had no idea that he's a survivor of a concentration camp. But the one thing about that, the quote I have in the book is that there's this space between stimulus and response. And that's where we are educated, and our growth is right there. That's where we can grow, is that pause. And then we're prepared for what our response is afterwards. Great guy that quote Viktor Frankl.
Yeah, and completely surreal just to imagine his life experience and having the self-awareness to be able to see stimulus response and be like, oh,
Yeah.
here's something that could help humanity.
Yeah, I don't know if you could see that coming. Oh, wait, here's the stimulus. That guy's yelling at me. I got to wait and have a response later.
Right.
If you wait long enough, he's gone. You don't have to worry about it. So,
Yeah. Fascinating, man. What are you excited for? What's coming up down in your pipeline? Like you have Be Great, this consultancy. Where are we going? What are we excited for over this next year?
The being able to help people with their businesses. A lot of people have passion, but they don't know how to run a business. I want to help encourage them with that. With my life coaching, my goal in life coaching is to inspire, to challenge, and support. We hear about motivational speakers all the time. They don't really exist. I called myself one. We can't motivate anybody to do anything, but we can inspire them to do it.
Yes.
But another big thing is I'm coaching my son's basketball team. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. So
that's awesome. Awesome. Well, for folks that are interested in engaging, and I guess, is your consultancy local to Grand Junction or beyond?
I'll travel, especially within the Tri-Counties and stuff, up and down,
Yeah.
Going to Cloudwood Springs or Moab or anything else like that. But especially for businesses, mostly I want to be able to help people. I don't want people thinking they don't have an option. I'm very pragmatic. My biggest statement I make all the time, one of the answers to the question that we have is so simple that we make it hard. There is a simple answer to almost everything. And sometimes it's quit, which that's not a good one, but I've heard people say that. But yeah, I'm open to either Zoom calls, I'm open to phone calls, I'm open to whatever the case the connection would bring.
I love it. I love it. Well, I know your book is on Amazon. How do folks reach out? How do people connect with you, Kevin?
My email address is in my book. I do a lot of emailing now. I check my emails every day, and I only have 5 or 6 unanswered emails by the end of the morning. So that's important. It's the beatgreat44@yahoo.com. I have my phone number pretty available to people too. If you Google my name, my phone number shows up. And I don't mind
Awesome.
taking phone calls. I answer almost everything. And, I get a lot of spams. And plus, at my age, I want to sell me insurance all the time. So, but if you're listening and you're insurance people, I have Medicare, so it doesn't matter. But, yeah, anyway, people, if somebody just wants to talk for a couple of minutes and wants a voice that cares, I'm there.
I love it. We're going to include some of that, if it's all right with you, in our show notes, just so listeners, can reach out, and I encourage them to do so.
Yeah.
Um, how about final thoughts? What do you want to leave with the listener on our way out of here?
So, currently, we probably have one of the most challenging times we have ever in the history of man. Of course, running after, dinosaurs or something would be tough, but there's so much divisiveness, and we get to choose. Are we going to be the glue that holds things together, or the saw that takes it apart? That person that doesn't agree with what your political direction is still that friend of yours. We've lost friends and family. All these people are angry and stuff. Be the person that's the glue. Be the person that holds families together or encourages people to really talk. It's okay to be the only one in the room that believes the way you do. Those other people believe in love. They believe in doing the right thing. They believe all sorts of stuff. Find the commonality in the people that you disagree with. And forget about the disagreement part, because you know what? We're going to disagree about some things. So really, the most amazing tool, the most incredible thing is love. Can you love your neighbor? Yeah. Can you love the person you don't like? There's a guy in there you do like. It's just the excitement stuff that people do. So I would say the strongest tool that we have is love. And lean on one another and let somebody lean on you. That would be it.
That's beautiful. With that, my friend, I'm looking forward to our next conversation, and I really appreciate you showing up for this one.
Yeah, it was my honor, and yeah, and your wife is amazing. You're amazing, and your business. If you need garage door work, give this guy a call, because I tell you, this team of people that come out are just amazing. Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate that. Yeah, thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, you bet.
Humbled and honored. I can't believe I'm saying this. We have over 2,400 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and we're just growing. It is amazing. And your likes, your subscribes, and your shares have helped us get here. So let's grow this thing together, and just know that you are appreciated.